and welcome to This is Metal with Tom Collier. Our special guest today is our mutual friend, Jim Crean. Jim, I've interviewed you a number of times over years. I've always enjoyed talking to you. One of the things we're going to be talking about today is the latest album, which is Scream Taker. I talked to you about this once before when it first came out, and I understand you guys are in the process of recording album number 2. Now, before we get much into the show, I understand that you've done a show with Tom. He's the lead singer from Held Hostage. So you guys want to talk a little bit about that show you guys did together?
New York State Fair. Well, Carl Kennedy played drums with us, and Freddie Villano bass, and Jim singing for us. It was a great time. I think 25,000 people were out there that night. It was a great show.
Yeah. Jim's a great singer. You know, he can do a whole lot. I mean, he's of course worked with the Peace Brothers. And this, like I said, is his latest project. So why don't we start the interview, Jim, talking about how this all came together?
Well, to add what Tom was saying, yeah, what a great show that was. Like you said, there was like 30,000 people at the state fair, and it was Held Hostage, Tom's band, and a lot of Tom's great originals we did, and some covers, and the crowd really loved us. So it was a great show. But back to Scream Taker, yeah, what a cool album, right?
Right.
Have you listened to it?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I talked to you when it came out. Like I described it to Tom, it's like it's a little heavier than what typically people know you for. Like it really kind of reminds me of kind of the heaven and hell vibe of Black Sabbath, which makes sense. You got the guy from that era who you worked with a lot over the years. But and what's interesting about you as a singer is you do a little bit of everything. You can do hard rock, you can do metal. You've also in the band Hair Nation, which for years has been a great cover band. So it's not like you're just a guy that just does other people's music. You've got your own great sound, your own great songs you write. So you're one of those guys that kind of can do it all.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my tribute band, Hair Nation. It's a tribute band for like hair bands.
Yeah.
We've been around for about almost 25 years, But when I sing those songs, I don't try and sound like if we're doing a Quiet Riot song or a Kiss song. I see Kiss in the background there.
Yeah,
if you do like a Kiss song, I sing it the way Jim Crean would sing. I don't try and sound like guys from Kiss or. I never believe in, if you're in a cover band, you should try and sound like yourself. Like Cheap Trick started off as a cover band.
Wow.
And Cheap Trick was a cover band for many years, like 5 or 6 years before they broke. And they would just do the covers because they had to, but they did their originals. And when you listen to, I got some early tapes of Cheap Trick, and when you listen to this stuff, it sounds like Cheap Trick doing a Kiss song, for example, you know. And I always thought that's kind of cool. That's the way to do it. If you're gonna be, if you have to do covers to work and get out there and play, well, make them sound like your own.
Yeah. You know, you bring up Cheap Trick, and I don't know if you had a chance here, but like on the last Ace Frehley album, which was a covers album, Origins 2, he did a version of Humble Pie's 30 Days in the Hole. With Robin Zander on vocals, man, he just killed that.
Cool, but it probably sounded like Cheap Trick, right?
Yeah.
It sounded like Robin Zander.
Yeah.
Which is what I appreciated that, because it's like so many times when you do covers, you try and sound exactly like the person, but you don't sound like yourself, you know? So
I'm going to throw it to you, Tom. You have anything you want to ask Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. So how did your Sabbath Nights tour go? I mean, that was... I think you did very well at that. I heard a lot of people, a lot of great things. I heard the Rochester show was fantastic. Every show I heard you guys did really good. How was that tour?
Thanks for bringing that up, Tom, because it's something I wanted to talk about. That was cool, amazing. My hometown, we kicked the tour off in my hometown, and you know, it's always tough when it's in your hometown because they all know you and they all come out to see you play all the time. So I was worried, and the crowd didn't disappoint. I mean, everybody from my hometown came out. So we had a really big crowd, and it was great just to start. That was our first show. Well, we did one the week before that in Portland, Oregon. We did a festival in Oregon, which was pretty cool, in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of the woods, and it was pretty weird. We flew into Oregon, and then we played like 45 minutes outside of Portland, in literally the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
I mean, I was waiting for Bigfoot to come out of the woods. You know? I mean, it was like that. But the crowd was insane. And so that was a great way to kick the dust off. And then the week later, we started the tour. And we started in Buffalo and went to Jersey, New York, and all over Boston. And the tour was fantastic. I mean, it was really a great tour. You know, How funny is
And
that?
like as far as that
That's
show,
Vinny
I was
happens to be
curious,
calling me right now.
did you have a set list like or did the set list kind of change from night to night?
Oh no, yeah. The set list was like all Sabbath. What we do at the Sabbath nights, and Tom, once again, thanks for bringing that up. Is all the Ronnie James Dio Black Sabbath era. So we do the Heaven and Hell album, stuff off Heaven and Hell album, Mob Rules, and then of
Humanizer.
course the first three Dio albums.
Yeah.
And so it's all the most of the hits, but some underground songs. Like we do Caught in the Middle.
Great tune. Great tune.
Uh-huh. Off the Holy Diver album. We did a couple B sides. We did like Voodoo off the Mob Rules album. So songs that you wouldn't typically think that we'd be playing. We did Turn Up the Night. We opened the show with Turn Up the Night.
Oh
Wow,
shit.
So
wow.
it's like, yeah. So all of a sudden Turn Up the Night kicks in. And people were like, wow. So the energy was unbelievable. And we did a great lot of stuff like Heaven and Hell, of course. We did all the staple songs, but it was a really cool show. It's a really cool show. And it went over really well. Vinny called me because he had some time off from Last in Line. He was like, I'm thinking about doing something. I want to do something and I want to do it with you. And I said, great, let's put our heads together and figure out what we can do. So we talked about Scream Taker, but Steph, our guitar player from Scream Taker, is in France. He's from France.
Of course, yeah.
So he couldn't get over here in time to do that. So I said, all right, why don't we do the Sabbath history of your career? He thought it was a great idea, and we put it together using Artie Dillon and Jimmy Caputo from the Drum Wars band.
Sure.
And man, I mean, what a cool band! And the shows were great. Tom, I wish you could have came out and seen one of them because
I tried to make it out there and I picked the wrong night. I thought you guys were playing in Rochester. I thought it was like on a Saturday or something. It was the night before. I talked to John the night after. He said, no, they played.
right.
He said, oh, geez, damn, I wanted to go see him, but
I know you were trying to put a show together with us, so it would
we were
cool.
talking about having Hell Hostage jump on that bill with you guys. Yeah,
we still will. We're gonna. The series went so well, the tour went so well that Vinny and I decided we got to do this. You know, we got to, when we have with our schedules, we just got to find time to do this. So
hey, Jim,
we will
any chance that you guys recorded any of the shows, maybe for a future live CD or anything like that?
Were you there, Jay?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I wasn't there, but I've heard some things.
Have you? Okay, we recorded the whole New Jersey show at an awesome venue, beautiful, huge theater, the Landis Theater out there, and we had a mobile unit with us, and we recorded it. So we're going through it right now and making sure everything sounds good, and maybe making sure it's releasable. But yeah, I mean, I've heard a couple things from it, and I said, send it, put it out.
I can't wait. I can't wait for now. Now I got to ask about Scream Taker. How surprised were you when that album was released? Because it's it's something that was just kind of put together. You know, it's not like you guys have been a band that's been together for many, many years, but you were getting great reviews, and I guess everything went so well that you're already working on album number 2, from what I understand.
We put that album together during COVID because,
yeah,
I like to put out solo albums, as you know. You have them all.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since the '90s, early '90s, putting out solo records. And Tom, you got a couple too. I've given you some stuff. Absolutely. And actually, me and Tom have talked about me doing some Held Hostage stuff as well, singing on a couple of tunes, which eventually we'll get to all that, right?
Yeah.
But so me and Steph were just writing back and forth because he played on my last solo album, The London Fog, and did a great job. So COVID, none of us are doing anything. Nobody's playing, nobody's working. So me and Steph were just kind of talking about writing songs. So we started writing songs, and they just started sounding like Black Sabbath and Dio. And we did a couple tunes, and they sounded exactly like something that could have been, the Mob Rules and Holy Diver's child, right?
Sure.
And I said after we did it with the drum machine, I said to Steph, we got to get Vinny involved in this because, I mean, this is right in his wheelhouse. So I sent Vin a couple songs. He called me up instantly. He said, oh my God, this is great. This is totally what I'm looking for. And we all had the time. So we just started, literally writing songs and recording them and rearranging them. And for like a month, totally, that's all we did. Every day we talked to each other doing this stuff. And then the album came out, and I was like, all right, now we got this album. So now what? What do we do with this thing, right? Because we weren't planning on being a band or doing anything really, but just having fun recording an album. So Vinny and I shopped it a little bit, with our contacts in the industry, and Deco Records loved it. And Charlie over there signed us. He said, let's release this thing. So that's really how it went. And I just released it thinking, cool, it's just a cool album. Before you know it, we're in all these magazines, like Japanese magazines and like all this crazy stuff. And they're calling it a super group. I'm like, well, I think that's going a little too far because it's not a super group. It's just something we just put together.
So I think you kind of already answered this. So there have really been no Scream Taker live shows because, as you said, Steph's in France. But maybe with the second album, is there a chance that there'll be some sporadic shows or one-offs, do you think?
So then just recently the label reached out to me and said, hey, how you guys doing? You guys want to do another record? I said, that would be great. Yeah. Vinny said, absolutely. And I reached out to Steph and he said, let's do it. So here we are. We got 10 songs written so far, not recorded, just written.
Yeah.
And we want to do 12 songs for the record. And then, of course, we have to do live shows. Yeah. I mean, because a lot of people know the album now and they know the songs, and there's some really cool songs on this.
I think the cool thing, by the time maybe you guys do your first live show, you'll have 2 albums worth of material, which may be a little better to get out there and you can kind of mix it up a little.
I agree. And by then we'll have some momentum. I mean, this day and age, you guys both know, in this day and age, you really release albums and people, we work, well, Tom, because we put out albums and you work hard, you put a lot of money into it, time, everything, and you hope for the best and you get the right artists on the album and you do everything you need to do to make it successful. And Tom, you've done that with your Held Hostage albums. I mean, you've gotten the right guys and you work hard, and then some of these albums, they could be great albums and amazing songs. They just fall on deaf ears just because nowadays people. I was going
to say, great example of that. You talk about Deco Records. One thing I love about them is they put out great product, first of all, and then they really stand behind their bands. They promote the hell out of them. I mean, look at this beautiful artwork. I mean, I look at this first thing I came to mind. I got to ask you. It reminded me of those classic horror films from the 30s. Those old movie posters,
That was the whole concept. When we were trying to do an album, we could have did something cheesy and just did like the metal screaming guy metal. And I said, I don't want to do that because this album is very diverse. There's a lot of cool stuff on it. So then Vinny goes, why don't we do like a 60s horror or like you said, 30s, 60s horror type concept. So I got it over to Jeff DeBurry, who did my last couple albums, and he did the design to cover. And we put it over to Lee Stokes, and he just took it out of the park. And I mean, have you seen the booklet and all that stuff? It's incredible.
Yeah. Jeff is a super talented guy. I discovered him years ago on MySpace. That's how and he was an artist in his own right. He used to put up these solo CDs of his music he wrote, and he started doing his artwork, and he's done covers for you, Ron Keel. So I love to see people that have these other talents, and then they finally get opportunity comes knocking on their door.
The artwork on that album is really cool. And I mean, the whole thing really, I mean, geez, in a different time, this album would have been big, because the songs they're good. And I'm not just saying it, they're really quality songs. I mean, there's some really good songs on that album.
Even the video for Stone Cold, it kind of had that look of like those old horror movies. And I know just by looking at the video, that was that was kind of what you guys were shooting for.
What happened with that, and another funny story with that, during, right out of COVID. So, and that was going to be this was going to be a Jim Crean record. And then we decided to become a band. And so what happened was Robbie Tatak from the Goo Goo Dolls, he does this thing every year called the MIA Festival, Music is Arts Festival. And he picks a band and focuses on that band. Well, that particular year, he asked me if I wanted to be that band. So we played his event, and then he wanted to shoot a video. So he financed the whole thing for that video.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that was really cool. So what happened was with that is it was just supposed to be kind of just to promote the MIA Festival, do a video and have a professional video and all that. And everybody went nuts over it because I got Colleen involved. She became like the zombie queen, and Al Baker, and I got all these guys involved. And we just became like a little mini movie, really. Yeah. Vinny and Steph filmed their parts on a green screen. Like Vinny filmed his. He looks like a mad priest with the glasses on.
Yeah.
Did you see it, Tom? Did you see the
I
video
did.
yet?
I thought it was pretty cool. I loved it. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
silly. It's silly, right? It's like we're trying not to take ourselves too serious with it. It's like I'm
That's
trying to
what's
be silly but
missing
be
from the
serious.
music world these days, you know? Everybody takes themselves way too serious. Yeah,
Yeah, and people watching they go, "This is cheesy." Well, that's what we were going for. We
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
Sells,
cheesy,
man. Cheese
silly.
sells. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we weren't trying to be like these rock stars. We were being like silly. Vinny had like goggles on with a priest shirt on, and Steph was like playing in his living room, and we just tried making it real hokey, real hokey, you know. And I thought it's fun. It's fun to watch every once in a while.
I enjoyed it.
So,
I got a question for you. So who's doing most of the songwriting? You guys all writing together on Scream Takers? So everybody's doing their own parts?
Yeah, like Steph brings me the music. He's talented, and I was going to actually invite him to this call because he would have been
Oh,
great
good.
on this.
Absolutely. That'd been
Well,
nice.
next time I'd like to get me, Vinny, and Steph on here next time.
yeah,
For
you're
sure.
welcome back anytime, you
Part two.
guys. So yeah, we were trying to do that before, but I know it's hard to get everybody together. But if you just let me know, Jim, we're more than welcoming of that.
I'd love to get both of them on because you know, but and like to get Lee. I'd like to get the whole team on. Get Charlie
Sure.
from the label. We'll do a whole. We've been doing those kind of
We'd
meetings.
love to do that kind of stuff because we do more than just your typical thing. Yeah.
Well, it's not just me talking. It's everybody puts.
I mean, me and Tom, we had a rock photographer that he works with come on and talk about doing photography in the music world. So we try to have different types of people come on.
To answer your question, Tom, what happened was Steph writes all the music, like he plays bass, puts a drum machine to it, sends me all the music, and then I put my melodies and my vocals to it, and my harmonies and all that stuff to it, and then we'd ship it over to Vin. Vin would put the drums, and then Vin would kind of rearrange the songs to make them different, because me and Steph have a tendency to write the songs, verse, chorus, solo, verse, like a standard song would be written.
Yeah.
And Vinny has that unique touch because he got it from Ronnie. This is what Ronnie did all the years. He would do that, but then throw like a bridge before the first verse or second verse, and just kind of. So Vinny goes, "Let me try and rearrange these songs and see what you guys think." So he started doing that, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't." You being a musician, Tom, when you hear the parts come up, you go, "Oh, I didn't expect that," and I wouldn't have wrote that like that. I wouldn't have done that, I would have went right back to the verse, And at first it was hard for me to really like that because at first I was like, "Oh no, that ain't how I wrote it. I wrote it with the verse next." And then the more and more I listened to it, I go, I couldn't unhear it that way. I said, "I'll never write it like that again. I love what you did." So we pretty much let Vinny rearrange all these songs. He would cut them and do all that stuff, and that's what's going to happen here again.
Yeah, that's what makes Vinny such a great drummer. I mean, he's more than just powerhouse drummer. I mean, he's involved in the writing on almost all his projects, and so you don't have too many drummers that do that. And the ones that do, I mean, they bring it.
I mean, he co-wrote Rainbow in the Dark. Enough said, right?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I was curious if you had a chance to check out Paul Gilbert put out a Dio album of like instrumental versions. Pretty cool. I don't think I had a chance to hear it.
I heard it. Yeah, Paul Gilbert's amazing.
I mean, what's interesting is I've never heard anything like that where Ronnie would sing the lyrics, he's kind of singing through the guitar. It's quite interesting.
Paul Gilbert's amazing. He's an amazing musician and a cool guy.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And while we're on the subject of Ronnie, I got to ask, did you ever have the opportunity to meet him?
I never met Ronnie. You know what's funny? In his camp, I've worked with everybody in his camp so far.
Yeah, that's why I asked. Yeah.
I worked with everyone. Jimmy Bain, his last recording he ever did, we did the cover of "Caught in the Middle" off the Holy Diver album on my Insatiable album.
Yeah.
And Jimmy literally sent me the track the day before he died.
Wow.
So that was his last ever, whatever.
Irony.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it was bittersweet because he was like in the message he sent me, because nowadays you send everything through files.
Sure.
And so he sent me the track and he wrote, "Hey, can't wait to hear this when I get back from the Def Leppard cruise." And I said, "Of course, and hopefully we'll have it mixed by then." And you never heard it. But to answer that question, I never got to work or meet Ronnie, and I had like 4 opportunities, and I was always working so much, and
of course, yeah.
I wish I would have got to meet him though, because everybody.
That's what I got to tell you. You really channel your best Ronnie James Dio on this. I mean, it's really got that Sabbath vibe from the Dio era, and and that's probably just because a big part of you being influenced by him.
It was a conscious thing. I'm not gonna, say, "Wow, really? Thank you." It
No,
was
no.
a
Like, see, that's the thing. Like I said, you can do different types. You know, you can do a beautiful ballad. You can sing real heavy stuff like this, and that's what I've always dug about you. Like, you never really know what you're going to get until you put the record on.
I love that because
Yeah,
that's my message right there. I don't want to be a staple like, oh yeah, he's gonna scream and yell. And
yeah,
we heard one song, you heard a million. I don't want to be that guy. I never wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be like, I wonder what I'm gonna get, like you said.
yeah.
And you've followed my career for a long
Sure,
time
sure,
now, and
sure.
you've dissected my music for a long time too. And
Yeah. Like your
you,
London Fog album, I love that. You had like ton of songs. Like that's the thing. You always deliver the whole package. You give your fans something worth buying. You give them more than just a 5-song EP.
yeah, I don't get lazy when it comes to making a record. I'm not lazy. Tom, you're the same way. You're not lazy when you make a record. Tom, I mean, has had. I'll keep going back to Tom, but his Held Hostage record, the one I have. I mean, it's well produced, it's well packaged, it's well presented. It's not just, hey, look what I got music. I'm gonna throw it out at you. And I come from the same school Tom does. I won't put crap out. If
Tom
it's
and his
not,
band Held Hostage. They're one of the hardest working bands, and
yep,
and
sure,
I always point to
100%.
the fact that even just on their latest album, it was on number 18 or something like that on the charts. It had more than one song chart on the Billboard, which even for mainstream bands is quite a feat. To have one song on the Billboard chart.
Hey, listen, I mean, nowadays putting anything out is really a challenge. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
care if you could be Kiss, you can be
yeah, yeah,
Kiss,
yeah, yeah.
and Kiss won't even
That's why they
Kiss
don't
won't
do
even.
it. Yeah,
That's everybody says, well, why won't these bands, these classic bands, they're lazy, they won't put records out, they're lazy. It's not that they're lazy, they don't
yeah,
want to tarnish their,
yeah,
Don Dokken they had him on the other day on an interview I was watching, and they were like, why you haven't recorded music in 25 years? And I get it, because if they anything they put out, everybody's going to scrutinize it and put it down or
yeah,
not play it at all.
yeah.
So all that time, and some of these guys don't want to put the time in, like me and
Sure.
Tom, where me, I still enjoy making records. I'm going to make records till the day I stop doing this.
Yeah, yeah,
And I will. I'll make records till the end because I enjoy it. And the
yeah,
fans enjoy it. Even if the fans don't like what I put out, at least they know, hey, I'm getting quality. Maybe
yeah.
they might not like the songs or even the music, but it's quality that they're getting. I'm not gonna fake it or phone it in,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I know you're busy for all these things, but I got to ask before we wrap this up. Speaking of the Peace Brothers, any chance that the Peace Band will be doing like a second album?
Yep. We demoed, I think we have 5 songs demoed out that sound really good,
Yeah,
and I got to write all of them with the
uh,
boys, the brothers. So that was pretty cool. So it's my style in
yeah,
the 5, because I mean the album we put out, I wrote like 4, I think
yeah,
3. I'm on 4 songs, but I wrote 3 of them,
yeah,
and so we this time we just wrote them together, and they're really good songs. But it's just, again, it's finding the time to get in the studio, because we do it old school with them. Go right into
yeah.
school together, or
And
studio
working with those
together.
two guys, I got to ask: have you yet figured out if it's Apathy or a Peace?
Yep, I have. So
Okay.
when you're with Carmine,
Yeah.
it's a piece. When you're with Vinny, it's Apathy. When you're with
Yeah.
both of them, it's Sir.
There you go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, Tom.
So
Before we wrap it up, anything you want to ask your fellow singer Jim here? Like,
I'm just happy to see he's out there doing this, and I love people like Jim that are always constantly working, never gives up, and I mean he's the epitome of rock and roll, man. I see he's
yeah,
on a tour with this band. He's doing another record. I love it, Jim. I'm so happy for you. I really am.
and I will tell you this, Jim. As you said, I followed you many years. I've had the pleasure of interviewing many times over years, and I used to do this show, This Is Metal, with another co-host, but he was no longer able to do it. So when I reached out to Tom, and when he agreed to do it, you were one of the first people I wanted to invite on the show, because I thought,
thanks, man.
being that you and him are mutual singers, and I heard you guys did a show together, I thought this would be a great forum to have you on. And so you're welcomed on any of my shows, but now that we're kind of reestablishing This Is Metal, you are definitely welcome back anytime. And next time if you want to bring in any of the guys, you're more than welcome to do that. We will set it up.
Well, again, Jay, I mean, I thank you for always supporting me, my career. You've done it for a long time, and you've always been a big. You always wave the Jim Crean flag, and I
And you know
appreciate
why?
that.
I'll tell you that, and because I'm a fan of your music first, but you're like a super nice guy, down to earth. And why? I mean, just give you an example. I mean, like same thing. I have the opportunity to interview Jack Russell, super nice guy. I
Yeah.
reached out to another band, and they wanted to know. Well, first we need to know, how many people visit your site and this and that. We're not really interested. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not interested. But Jack was a super nice guy, so like told him, hey, you're welcome. Sometimes it's just about somebody's personality or they're a nice person. You like their music. It's maybe sometimes, like in your case, both.
I listen. I've been around a lot for a long time, as
Yeah.
you know, and I've worked with a lot of great musicians, and I'm at the stage in my life where I'll only work with nice people and
Mhm.
real people. I won't. I don't that whole attitude and I'm better than you, and
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah,
competition. There's no
yeah.
such thing as held hostage is better than Kiss or whatever.
There's
That don't
room.
exist in music.
I mean, I just say,
There's no.
willing to show on this. I mean, there's room for everybody. And you know what? You guys are talking about, maybe in the future putting together like a show with your guys' two bands. That would be super cool. I mean, could you imagine how many people would show up for a show like that?
Sure.
Yeah,
Again, back to what I was saying. I like real people in this
sure,
business, and if you're a nice guy, I don't care how great of a musician you are. If you're a nice guy, that prevails over
sure,
anything
sure.
else.
Yeah, yeah,
And at the end of the day, we're all still doing it. Guys like me and Tom have been doing it for a long
yeah,
time. You, Jay, you've been doing what media for a long time,
yeah.
and to me, I just think that the longer you stay in the game, either if you're not a nice person, you
Yeah.
don't stay in the game very
There you
long.
go. There you go. Yeah, yeah. Well, Jim, once again, it was great talking to you. I'll let you wrap it up, Tom. But we'll say goodbye to you, Jim, and thank you. And this will probably be going up probably in about 2 weeks. I'll let you know. You're more than welcome to share it.
And we're looking
Excellent.
forward to your next album, Jim. And I'll probably see you out to the NAMM show. Are you going out this year? Because I'm going to be out there. We're going to do the Metal Legion show.
Oh, all right, good, cool. We were talking about doing Sabbath Nights, so we'll see.
How
Great.
cool would that be? Wow. Yeah.
That'd be great. And,
Be
tell
really cool.
Colleen I said hello.
I will, Tom. Good seeing you again, buddy. You keep working hard.
Thanks again, Jim. Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
See you, Jake. See you guys.